Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Everyone has heard the warning, never drop a hairdryer in water. But what really happens if you do? Will the safety cord trip, or will it turn the water into a deadly high voltage brew of death? If that bucket had been a bathtub, did the GFCI plug on the end of my cheap $5 Goodwill hairdryer actually work? Not theoretically work, but actually trip, potentially saving my life. I'll test that shortly and show it to you in action and try to answer all these questions. So before we get to the test, I'm going to have a very brief discussion on what the GFCI is and how it can protect you. But also, just as importantly, scenarios where it won't protect you. It's not designed to work for all situations, just some of them. All right, I'm going to draw for a few seconds. Two scenarios, Dan and Fred. Fred does not fare well, as in Fred is dead, but Dan lives on to have a perfect life. GFCIs are ground fault circuit interrupters, also called GFIs, trip when the current leaving on hot does not match the current returning on neutral. That means current is leaking to ground, maybe through you. When it detects this ground fault, 5 milliamps worth, it cuts the flow of power, potentially saving your life. Scenario 1, GFCI saving Dan. Dan is standing in a pool of water while operating his hairdryer. He comes into contact with a hot wire. Current starts to flow through him to ground in the pool of water. The GFCI cuts the power when it detects the flow of current to ground. This saves Dan from certain death. However, in scenario 2, when a GFCI doesn't work and kills Fred, Fred is wearing rubber shoes on a dry surface, but he has opened up the hairdryer and is messing with it when he unintentionally becomes part of the circuit. Electricity from hot to neutral remain in balance, flowing through Fred as if he is a hairdryer. But unfortunately, it kills Fred dead because the GFCI doesn't know there is a problem. Fred is part of the circuit. So if you look at the bucket experiment, you'll see that I have to provide a path to ground so that it creates this imbalance between hot and neutral so that the GFCI trips. This is the same as with my part 1 video where I provide a path to ground for the Klein meter on a green wire. So there are limitations of GFCIs. Just know that. Fred dies, Dan lives. This is how I'm going to safely drop a running hairdryer into a grounded bucket of water via a string drop setup. Note the black wire is attached to alligator clips to simulate a bathroom plumbing ground. As a double safety, I'm also going to have it plugged into my wall's GFCI, which is typical of a bathroom. And the other end of both of these meters is connected to the ground in here so that we have a ground path for the current to flow through. And in theory, the thing will just click off and save everybody, but we have no idea how this is going to work. So let's go find out what happens when we drop a running hairdryer in a bucket. But first, I'm going to take a few seconds for a quick safety brief. I do want to say before we get started here that we are dealing with electricity, and it's lethal amounts of electricity. We're adding water to it as well. A lot of people would probably say it's pretty stupid, but we're doing this for educational purposes, and I can't stress enough, do not try this on your own. All right, it's time. You've had enough anticipation waiting for this moment. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and stick around to the end where we're going to see if it still runs and also take it apart to see how much water is inside of it. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. And it worked. I heard that click. Awesome. Okay, that was a smashing success. There is no question in my mind that that would have saved your life if you were in a bathtub full of water and this hairdryer fell in there. So kudos to the safeties. On a side note, I don't think my meters were fast enough. Only one meter was able to detect 2.2 milliamps of current flow, but the fluke didn't respond at all, so I didn't see any voltage there. So I'm not sure what happened there. So now the next question is, will it still run or will it trip the GFCI now that it's been fully submerged in water? I'm being very careful while I stand right now. I'm partially energized, but we took it out of the water. I reset the breaker or the GFCI, and we're just gonna come over here and throw the switch and see what happens. Wow, it's still running. That's bananas. So this thing was just dunked in water. Now there's no path for the GFCI to work apparently, or there's no GFCI problem. Okay, wow. That is amazing. I had never expected that. I can see the steam cooking off it. All right. Let's just let that run for a second here. I'm in a pretty dangerous situation, so I'm gonna do my best not to be near it. Yeah, putting it in a box till it burns is completely a possibility. Part 3 lives on. This hairdryer won't die. That legitimately came out of the water. So I'm gonna flip the switch now and turn it off. All right, let's go take it over to the bench and see how much water is inside. Get any water that's in there out of there a little bit here, and then we're gonna just take it back to the bench while it's still wet, just to see what's going on inside, because now it's completely different. I thought for certain that motor wasn't going to make it. If you remember the first disassembly video, that motor has all those holes in it, so I figured out its Achilles heel. The other interesting thing is it did not trip the breaker because all the power was probably just staying local and not flowing onto the, into the cement on the floor. There was no path out of the hairdryer, which is even just astoundingly amazing as well. So we're going to just do a quick disassembly while it's wet to see what's inside. And then I will probably leave it out to dry just to make it a little easier for the box. And next time we'll put it in the box, we'll probably blow one of those thermal fuses and then have to bypass it until it does catch on fire. So that'll be exciting. All right, well, at least I know how to take it apart now. So far, good. There's not a lot of anything going on in here. Let's see, we take off these screws, we'll pull out the whole assembly. I bet inside the switches are dead, and I bet in a week or two, the corrosion will have taken over in the motor and in the switches, and it'll be no good. But we'll try to get to the fire sooner than that. Yeah, just some water in there. Yeah, water is kind of coming out of the motor. I don't know if you can see some of that water dripping on there as I spin it, but okay, there's this big hole here that goes into the actual motor assembly, so I figured that would be cooked. I think the other thing that'll get cooked ultimately is whatever this kind of thermal fuse assembly is here. We talked about that in the previous video. So that'll get cooked, this will get cooked, and the individual switches as well have a lot of water in them, but I'm looking at the top, and if you look really careful here at these switches, they're actually it's open. So these might dry out and be okay, which is kind of surprising as well. So that is what happens after you put your hairdryer in the water. But I am 100% convinced the two failure points are going to be this motor that actually drives the thing, that'll corrode, and then this contact here will corrode, and possibly the switches. Pretty impressive that it can survive being dunked in water and still run at the end of it all. And the GFCI is not that cheap. It worked. It would have saved your life. All right, thanks for watching, and make sure to please like and subscribe.